Managers, it's Dave Borden with PMW. We're about to start getting into the actual steps that you're going to take in your progression to dominating your market, and that starts with building a structurally sound, fast, responsive website. But before we do that, we're going to do a quick URL analysis so that you can determine whether or not your URL or your website name is going to be competitive for search. We get tons of property managers asking us questions, agonizing over the domain names, asking if they should buy dozens or even hundreds of domain names and redirect it to their site. We're going to give you the best advice on URL that we've seen work for over 400 customers. Obviously, there are several factors that go into whether or not your website URL is going to help you compete for search. And they're primarily age, exact match, length, and the amount of links that come in, good, bad, otherwise. So obviously, like a business, an older URL is going to be a huge factor in determining how well you score on a search algorithm for a particular term. An old website where someone has been conducting a property management business on it for 10 plus years is extremely valuable and will probably be much better than an exact match domain, which I'll talk about here in a minute. So if you have a really old URL that you've been running a property management business on for a long time, you're probably going to want to keep that. Like any brand new business, the internet's the same way. The search engines don't look at brand new URLs as a viable business until they've been in business for a while, so they just don't like it. So while you can't buy age onto your site, one thing you can do is you can go and register your existing URL for 10 years. And GoDaddy, any of the domain registrars will let you register your site for up to 10 years. And that's part of the score. When the search engines go and look at how long you've registered your domain for, if it's 10 or more years, there's a little bit of investment there. And it's only a small part of the algorithm, but doing things right and paying attention to detail is key in search engine optimization. So go register your domain name for at least 5 years and you'll get a little bit of a bump in the algorithm score. It is so important to have an older, seasoned URL that it is actually worth going and buying smaller competitors that have been in business for a long time. Number one, you're going to get their accounts, but you'll also be able to get their URL, and you can redirect that URL to your URL, or even use the new URL if it's powerful enough. That'll give you all the authority and season and power that's been built up on that URL be transferred to your URL. Next factor is exact match domains. Exact match domains are simply domains that contain a search term within them. An example would be denverpropertymanagement.com, seattlepropertymanagers.org. Those type of domains are important. Now, exact match has gone down in importance over the years, and we think that it'll continue to go down in importance. However, the exception is that if you have an exact match domain with fantastic content about that search term, you're still going to get some good benefit from having that exact match domain. Every search that I conduct, and I do 50 or 100 a day or more, almost every single market that you do a property management search in, you're going to find an exact match domain. So if you can acquire one for a decent price, and I don't think you should ever pay more than $1,000 for one, but if you can acquire an exact match domain, I would go do so because it is a decent enough portion of the algorithm score that it's worth having. We even have a couple customers who have seen some good success buying an exact match domain and launching their website on top of that domain, redirecting their old seasoned URL to the exact match domain. As long as you do all the redirects correctly, you can see a nice bump in search rankings from doing that. Length of Length does matter, even in website URLs, but in this case you want it to be shorter. The obvious exception is if you have an exact match domain. Currently today, it's September 23rd, 2014, it's still better to have an exact match domain than it is to have a short domain. So if there's no exact match domains available, go ahead and get a short one. Probably the most critical part is the links that come into a website. And Google recently did a Panda update, which basically got rid of gave no credit and actually penalized sites for having bad or unnatural linking coming in. If your website is currently sitting on a domain that has questionable or bad links from purchasing them in the past, you may be suffering some penalties, and you want to go into your webmaster tools and take a look and see if you have any bad links in there, and if you do, you need to disavow those. Just a couple tips going forward. If you want to see how powerful your URL is, you can go to a website called OpenSiteExplorer.com. It's a SEO Moz product, and you can check your domain authority. Any domain authority under 10, you're probably not going to have any success ranking on search. Between 10 to 20 is kind of where you start building up a little bit of authority, but you're still going to have a tough time in bigger markets. Once you start getting over 20, you're probably going to be able to play with some of the bigger companies, and once you get to 30, our top companies that dominate their markets, Houston, Atlanta, they have domain authorities according to OpenSite Explorer of 30 plus, and even if some in the 25 range are doing extremely well. So, do's and don'ts. Do buy old URLs and even old companies that have powerful, authoritative URLs and redirect them to your site. Always get the URL in an acquisition. If you buy out one of your competitors, make sure that you grab their URL and direct it to yours. You'll transfer all of their domain authority to you. And if possible, get exact match domains. Do not go out and buy tons of domains just because there might be an exact match component and then redirect them. You're not going to get any power or authority from a brand new URL, even if it has exact match, if you go and redirect it. Never buy any links whatsoever. If you pay for links, you're gonna get penalized. Google does not like that at all. And if you can, go out and ask friends, realtors, vendors, customers to link to your site from relevant sites that matter. Hopefully this has helped a lot for your URL struggles. URL is the first step to building a fantastic website. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them. You can contact me on email, dave@kohva.com, Kohva.com. Thanks, have a great day.